Something unexpected happens to strength after 60, and it doesn't follow the rules people expect. You can eat the same meals you always did. You can stay active. You can even add more protein, and still, strength slips, not suddenly, not with pain, just quietly. One day, jars feel tighter than they used to. Getting up from a chair needs a small push. Walks feel a little shorter, even though nothing else has changed. What makes this frustrating is that you didn't stop trying. The effort is still there. The routine is still there, but the body isn't responding the same way anymore. Here's a detail most people never hear. After 60, muscles don't react to regular protein the way they once did. That's why two people can eat the same meal, and one rebuilds strength while the other doesn't. The difference isn't discipline. It isn't motivation. It's how the body receives the signal. Protein can be present, but the message doesn't land. And when that happens, muscle loss doesn't just mean weaker arms or legs. Left unchecked, it slowly affects balance, posture, and confidence moving through the day. Small hesitations turn into habits. Habits quietly turn into limits. But this is not a dead end. Aging muscles don't need extreme workouts or massive protein shakes to respond again. They need clearer signals, the kind aging bodies still recognize and know how to use. That's what we're going to talk about today. We'll break this down in plain language. You'll understand why supplements and powders often disappoint after 60 and why certain everyday foods work differently. These foods don't just add protein, they help muscles switch back on and hold strength longer. If you felt strength slipping despite doing everything right, stay with me, because the solution isn't complicated and it's likely more familiar than you think. Sarcopenia may sound technical, but the idea is simple. It's the slow loss of muscle that happens when the body stops responding to food the way it used to. Muscles don't disappear overnight. They shrink because they're no longer getting clear instructions to stay strong. After 60, digestion changes, absorption changes. Muscles become more selective. They don't respond well to quick fixes or isolated nutrients. That's why whole foods matter more than ever. And that brings us to the foods themselves, starting with one many people already eat, but rarely think of as muscle support. Food number 7, Greek yogurt. Let's start with a food many seniors already have in their fridge. Greek yogurt, but rarely think of as muscle support. Most people see it as a breakfast item or a light snack, something healthy, but not powerful. After 60, that assumption misses the point. Greek yogurt works differently than many other protein foods. First, it's easy to digest. As we age, the stomach doesn't break down food as efficiently. Greek yogurt is already partially broken down, which means the protein reaches the bloodstream with less effort. That matters when muscles have become slower to respond. Second, Greek yogurt delivers protein steadily, not all at once. This gives muscles time to recognize and use it instead of letting it pass through unused. There's another benefit most people overlook. Greek yogurt contains natural compounds that support gut health, and the gut plays a quiet but important role in muscle maintenance. When digestion is smoother, nutrient delivery improves. Muscles don't just need protein, they need the body to actually absorb it. That's why some seniors notice something subtle when Greek yogurt becomes a regular part of their routine. They don't feel stronger overnight, but they feel less drained. Recovery after normal daily activity feels easier. Muscles don't feel as empty by the end of the day. How you eat it matters. Choose plain Greek yogurt, not flavored versions loaded with sugar. A small serving is enough. You don't need a large bowl. Adding it as part of a meal or as a midday option works well for many people. Greek yogurt isn't meant to build muscle by itself. Think of it as preparing the ground. It improves absorption and supports the system muscles rely on. That's why it's number 7 on this list. It's not flashy, but it makes the foods that follow work better. Next, we'll look at a food most people underestimate because of its size. A food that supports muscle control and grip strength in a way few expect. Food number 6, pumpkin seeds. This next food is small, easy to overlook, and often treated like a snack. Pumpkin seeds. But after 60, they support something that matters more than people realize. Control. As we age, muscle loss isn't only about size. It's about how well muscles respond when you ask them to move. That's the difference between standing up smoothly and wobbling, between catching a cup before it slips and watching it fall, between trusting your hands or feeling like they don't quite obey anymore. Pumpkin seeds help with that kind of control. They're rich in minerals muscles rely on to contract and release in the right order. One of the most important is magnesium. But here's the part most people don't hear. Magnesium from food behaves differently than magnesium from pills. Food-based magnesium comes packaged with fats, fibers, and supporting nutrients that help older bodies use it more gently and steadily. Instead of a quick spike and drop, muscles get a smoother supply, which is exactly what aging muscles prefer. Magnesium helps muscles relax after they contract. When it's low, muscles fatigue faster and react more slowly. That shows up as shaky legs, weaker grip, or that uneasy feeling when you stand and your body needs a second to catch up. Pumpkin seeds also provide zinc, which supports repair and helps muscles recover from everyday strain. Together, these minerals help muscles work in sequence, not just strongly, but reliably. That reliability matters. It helps prevent drops, it helps steady your hands, and it reduces the small missteps that can turn into bigger problems over time. You don't need much. A small handful is enough. More isn't better here. Choose plain seeds when possible. Heavy salt and over-roasting can cancel out benefits. You can add them to meals, sprinkle them over yogurt, or eat them on their own. Pumpkin seeds won't build muscle by themselves. Think of them as fine-tuning the system, helping muscles respond when you need them to. And that sets the stage for the next food. One that's cheap, filling, and does something very specific for aging muscles. It helps them stay fueled longer, not just fed. Let's talk about that next. Food number 5, chickpeas. This next food is often seen as just a carb, which is why many people overlook it. Chickpeas. But after 60, chickpeas do something important for muscles that most protein-heavy foods don't. They help muscles stay fueled, not just fed. Here's why that matters. As we age, muscles don't like sharp spikes. Big protein hits can pass through without being fully used. Chickpeas release their energy slowly. That steady release helps muscles keep working over time instead of feeling strong for an hour and drain the rest of the day. Chickpeas also support insulin response. That's important because insulin helps move nutrients into muscle cells. When this system is sluggish, muscles don't absorb what you eat very well. Chickpeas help smooth that process, which means the protein you eat from other foods gets used more efficiently. There's another benefit many people don't connect to muscle health. Chickpeas support gut bacteria that help break down nutrients. And when digestion improves, muscles receive more consistent fuel. This is one reason people often feel less wiped out after meals when chickpeas are part of their routine. What does that look like in real life? You don't feel that midday crash as often. Your legs don't feel as heavy by evening. Everyday tasks feel more sustainable. How you eat chickpeas matters. Soaking and cooking them properly makes them easier to digest, and especially for older stomachs. You don't need large portions. A modest serving alongside other protein foods works best. Chickpeas aren't meant to replace animal protein. Think of them as supporting the system that helps muscles respond to food again. They help nutrients arrive at the right pace, they help energy last longer, and they make the foods that follow on this list work better. Next, we'll move to a food almost everyone knows, but very few use correctly after 60. A food that sends one of the clearest build and hold signals muscles still recognize. Let's talk about food number 4, whole eggs. Eggs are one of the most familiar foods on this list, and also one of the most misunderstood after 60. Many people still treat eggs as just protein, or they eat only the whites, thinking they're making a healthier choice. But for aging muscles, that approach leaves a lot on the table. Whole eggs send one of the clearest build and hold signals muscles still recognize. Here's why. Muscle doesn't respond only to protein quantity. It responds to context. Whole eggs provide protein alongside fats, vitamins, and compounds that help muscles actually react to that protein. When those pieces arrive together, muscles are more likely to use what they're given instead of letting it pass by. The yolk is especially important. It contains nutrients that support muscle signaling and repair, the kind of signals that become harder to trigger after 60. Removing the yolk weakens the message. Keeping it strengthens it. This is one reason people often notice practical changes when whole eggs are eaten regularly. Standing up feels more controlled. Legs feel less empty during the day. Strength holds longer between meals. Eggs are also easy on digestion, which matters more with age. When food is simple for the body to break down, muscles receive nutrients sooner and more reliably. How you eat eggs matters. You don't need large portions. 2 whole eggs are often enough. Pairing them with vegetables, yogurt, or legumes works better than eating them alone. This helps smooth absorption and keeps energy steady. Eggs won't build muscle by themselves. Think of them as a signal booster. They tell the body, this is worth using. That's why they rank higher than chickpeas on this list. They don't just fuel muscles, they activate them. Next, we'll move to a food that protects muscle rather than building it directly. A food that slows breakdown, supports recovery, and is especially helpful when joints or chewing become a concern. Let's talk about food number 3, sardines, and a simple alternative if you don't enjoy them. This next food doesn't get enough credit for what it does after 60, sardines. And if sardines aren't your favorite, canned salmon works in a similar way. What makes sardines special isn't just the protein, it's how they protect muscle you already have. As we age, muscle loss happens from 2 sides. One side is poor building, the other, often ignored, is faster breakdown. Even if you eat enough protein, muscles can still shrink if breakdown outpaces repair. Sardines help slow that process. They're rich in omega-3 fats, which help reduce low-grade inflammation. That matters because inflammation quietly speeds up muscle loss after 60. When inflammation stays high, muscles struggle to recover from even normal daily activity. Omega-3s also help muscles respond better to protein from other foods. In simple terms, sardines make the rest of your meals work harder for you. There's another benefit that's easy to overlook. Sardines are soft and easy to chew. That might not sound important, but it is. When chewing becomes tiring or uncomfortable, people eat less, often without realizing it. Sardines remove that barrier, making it easier to get quality nutrition consistently. People who add sardines regularly often notice practical changes. Muscles don't feel as sore after simple tasks. Recovery feels quicker. Strength feels more stable from day to day. How you eat sardines matters. Canned sardines in water or olive oil are fine. You don't need large amounts. A small serving a few times a week is enough to support muscle protection. Pairing them with eggs, yogurt, or vegetables works well. If sardines aren't appealing, canned salmon offers similar benefits with a milder taste. Sardines don't build muscle overnight. Think of them as muscle insurance. They help slow the loss so the building foods on this list can actually do their job. Next, we'll talk about a food that works while you sleep. A food that helps aging muscles hold on to strength overnight instead of losing it, and that's exactly why it matters after 60. Let's move to food number 2, cottage cheese. Cottage cheese doesn't get attention because it's flashy. It earns its place because it helps muscles hold on to strength overnight, which is when a lot of muscle loss actually happens. Here's what most people don't realize. During sleep, the body goes into a long fasting period. For younger bodies, that's not a problem. For older muscles, it can be. When fuel runs out overnight, muscles can break down slightly before morning, especially if protein intake earlier in the day wasn't used well. Cottage cheese helps prevent that. It contains a slow-digesting protein that releases amino acids gradually over several hours. Instead of a quick spike and drop, muscles receive steady support through the night. That steady supply helps reduce overnight breakdown and supports repair. This is why people often notice subtle but meaningful changes. They don't wake up feeling as stiff. Legs feel less drained first thing in the morning. Strength feels more held from one day to the next. Cottage cheese is also easy to digest, which matters more with age. Heavy meals before bed can cause discomfort or poor sleep. Cottage cheese delivers support without weighing the body down. How you eat it matters. You don't need a large bowl. A small serving in the evening is enough. It can be eaten plain or paired with something simple like seeds or a bit of yogurt. Keep it light. The goal is steady support, not fullness. Cottage cheese isn't meant to build new muscle on its own. Think of it as muscle preservation. It protects what you've worked to maintain during the day. That's why it ranks so high on this list. It fills a gap most people don't know exists. The overnight gap. Now we're ready for the final food. The one that supports the structure muscles depend on. The one that ties strength, joints, and stability together. Let's talk about food number 1. Gelatin-rich food, bone broth. This final food is different from all the others, and it's the one most people never connect to muscle strength. Gelatin-rich foods like slow-cooked bone broth don't build muscle the way protein powders claim to. They do something more important after 60. They rebuild the structure muscles depend on. Muscles don't work alone. They attach to tendons. Tendons connect to bones. When that connective tissue weakens, muscles lose leverage. Strength fades even if muscle size hasn't changed much. That's why some people say, I still have muscle, but I feel weak. Gelatin provides the building blocks for collagen, the material that keeps tendons, ligaments, and joint tissue resilient. When that support system weakens, muscles can't express strength properly. This is why gelatin matters so much after 60. People who add gelatin-rich foods often notice changes that feel different from typical muscle gains. Standing up feels smoother, joints feel more stable, steps feel more confident, grip feels stronger without extra effort. Bone broth is one of the easiest ways to get this support. It's gentle on digestion and delivers collagen in a form older bodies recognize. This isn't about supplements or powders. It's about traditional foods the body knows how to use. How you use it matters. Bone broth works best when consumed regularly, not occasionally. A warm cup a few times a week is enough. You don't need large amounts. Consistency matters more than quantity. Pairing gelatin-rich foods with protein-rich meals helps muscles and connective tissue rebuild together. That combination supports strength in a way isolated protein never can. This is why gelatin-rich foods earn the top spot. They don't just help muscles grow, they help muscles work. They reinforce the foundation strength sits on. And when that foundation improves, the other foods on this list finally show their full effect. Now let's put this all together, because knowing the foods is only half the story. What matters most after 60 is consistency and timing, not perfection. You don't need to eat all 7 foods every day. That's not realistic. What works is rotation. A few of these foods spread across the week give your muscles repeated chances to respond. Think signals, not overload. Pairing matters too. Protein-rich foods work better when digestion is supported. That's why foods like Greek yogurt, chickpeas, and gelatin-rich broth help everything else on this list do its job. They prepare the system so muscles actually listen. And here's something important to hear. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. Muscle loss speeds up when the body stops receiving clear instructions. But when those signals return, through the right foods, eaten the right way, muscles can stabilize, respond, and even regain function well into later decades. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about protecting independence. Stronger legs means standing without hesitation. Stronger grip means confidence using your hands. Better support tissue means steadier movement. Small choices compound. If this video helped clarify things, I'd love to hear from you. Which food surprised you most? Share in the comments. I personally read everyone. And if you know someone who's struggling with strength or muscle loss, share this with them. Sometimes the right food, explained the right way, can change how someone sees their future. We're building a community here for strong comebacks. So subscribe, hit the bell icon, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. If this was helpful and you want to support the effort behind it, give this video a like. Join me in the next video. I've got more surprises waiting for you.